Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Exponential Potential podcast. And I'm really excited. And I know I say this all the time in nearly every episode, but I am really thrilled about this month's topic, which is all around leadership and the different styles and what we can do to make positive impact when we step into that role. And today we are delving deep, dun, 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 we are delving deep into leading with purpose with radical authenticity.
Love it.
And I love that title. It's so powerful, Gill. And I'll introduce you to Gill in a moment. But I just want to delve in a little bit as to why you need to listen to this episode. We are going to be covering what leading from purpose means, and also what radical authenticity is, why it's so important if you want to really thrive and flourish. We're talking about how to cultivate the courage to do that, because it's a brave journey, and why that's also important to create ease and flow in your life. So we're going to delve in. I'm going to introduce you. I am over the moon that we have the marvelous, fantastical Gill Moakes. Welcome, Gill.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you for having me.
Lovely to have you. And I'll just give you a little brief intro as to who Gill is. She is a coach, a business coach and mentor, and founder of Gill Moakes Coaching and Consulting. And I love this, how clearly passionate you are about helping UK-based business coach. You're a UK business coach, mentor and growth strategist, and I love this, who help freedom-seeking, risk-taking women grow their business their way. I'm all about that. Your business, your rules, your way. She has an incredibly unwavering in her belief that when it comes to building a purpose-led business, there is no one fit solution, because we're all unique, aren't we? Everybody's different. And Gill empowers clients to be who they truly are. We're going to be delving into that a little bit in this episode as to what exactly that means, and do the work that matters to them from a place of radical authenticity. Gill delivers the map, the motivation, and the mindset to grow your business in a way that feels good for you, and believes that when you're brave enough to do things your way and you're outstanding at what you do, you deserve a life of infinite possibilities. So welcome, Gill.
Thank you so much. So good to be here. I've been looking forward to this.
Me too. I've been really, and I know I say that a lot, but we have fantastic guests, and I have been really looking forward to this because I know we're going to have a lot of fun.
Oh yes.
And for listeners, for people that are watching, and this is where the fun starts, she says in a really serious voice, talking about radical authenticity before we even get into questions and things like that. If you're watching on video, Gill has behind her a little sign on the wall amongst her beautiful pictures, her graphic design pictures, saying, "Don't be a dick."
I'm afraid it is my number one non-negotiable when it comes to working with me. I think I said to you before, Jen, like my partner Dave always says to me, you cannot have that on the wall when you're coaching clients. And I say, I absolutely can, because anyone who doesn't find that funny will hate working with me, and I need to make sure they understand that from the outset.
Yes, and how that ties into radical authenticity and having the courage. I mean, that takes a lot of bravery to have something like that up behind you. But I really do, because you're being true to who you are without apology.
Absolutely.
So that
Absolutely. And it's interesting you saying that, it takes a lot of courage to have that up there. I think, and I know we're going to come on to this a bit later when we talk about cultivating the courage to be radically authentic. And one of the important parts of that is exercising acts of authenticity like a muscle. So for me, it doesn't feel brave to have that up there. It's like, oh yeah, well that's of course that's up there because that's who I am, right? But that's because that hasn't always been like that for me. I haven't always been able to be like that, but right now I can because I've exercised it like a muscle.
Right. So how did you come to be at this point in your journey?
Mm. So, well, I worked in corporate insurance for years and years. And there came a point where I think it, like everyone does, they reach a point where there's no going back, really. I just thought, this isn't aligned to what I want to do. I need more freedom. One of the reasons I work with freedom seeking women is because what motivated me to leave my 9 to 5 and start my own business in the first place was just that craving to have more freedom. I remember distinctly one moment that brought it home to me really was I was driving to the station for my commute to London, and on the way and at the time I was a member of this sailing club in the next village to where I live, and I watched the lady, just lovely lady who worked at the sailing club. She worked behind the bar and she did the cleaning in the sailing club, and she was wandering down to her early morning cleaning job at the sailing club, and she was sauntering down the road as I drove past her in a pair of shorts. She had her headphones on. It was a beautiful sunny day, so she was doing that and I was going to my pretty high paid insurance job in the city with my head wedged under someone's armpit on the train. And I was like, yeah, which one of us is actually living? Which one of us is actually enjoying their life? And it definitely wasn't me. And that was a really pivotal moment for me because I suddenly realized I couldn't do what I was doing. So the first business I started actually was as a VA, as a virtual assistant, because I didn't actually know how I could make money outside of working in insurance. So I thought, well, I know my way around a spreadsheet. I can probably manage someone's email inbox. I can set myself up as a virtual assistant, which I did. And everything grew from there, really. I sort of promoted myself a couple of times by just changing my email signature. First, it went from virtual assistant to online business manager. And when I was working as a online business manager, I became very aware that a lot of the women that I was working for who were coaches and consultants were, in my opinion, really missing the mark in terms of how they were marketing their businesses. And often there was just no alignment between who they really were, because I saw behind the scenes.
Yeah.
There was this real misalignment between who they were and the person they were projecting to the
Yes.
outside world. And I think that realization of having that privileged, really, position to be behind the scenes in a business and see things from both sides, it gave me this huge insight that actually I believe the most successful businesses and the most successful business owners are the ones who are radically authentic, the people who, if you looked behind the scenes of their business, to the signs on their walls, to the way they talk, to the way they create an offer, to the way they market their business, there would be no misalignment. And that's really what I now, because I promoted myself again from online business manager to business coach. To be fair, I did then get my ICF certification. So I'm not saying I'm not saying my change of email signature was my only credential. That would not be good. But so that was really the journey that I went on to becoming a business coach who now coaches around helping women, be who they truly are, because that for me is the prerequisite of success. some people think of it, some people think that getting to do what you love and be who you are is the reward for being successful. Or once I get to a certain level of success, then I'll be able to do what I really want.
Mm-hmm.
Or come across as who I really am, then I'll have the privilege of doing that. But I think that's not true. In my opinion, the prerequisites are getting crystal clear on who you really are and doing what you love.
Yeah, it's that saying, isn't it? And it's never felt comfortable with me. Fake it till you make it. It's never, I have
It makes me
never,
do that strange cat noise.
yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry,
definitely.
sorry, listeners, that might have been a bit
Yeah,
rough
sorry,
on the
that must have
microphone.
been absolutely awful, especially for anyone who's not actually watching, who just got the horrible sound.
not the funny cat face.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's never resonated, and that comes from exactly what you just said. You be authentic first.
Mm.
And I want to just touch on, before we go more into radical authenticity, what does leading from purpose mean for you? How do you
Mm.
see that? Let's
Yes,
unpack that.
let's unpack that. What does that even mean? I don't have it stored away anywhere to unpack it.
You have
It's
it
an
in your head.
interesting one.
You have it in your
Okay.
head.
Oh, okay. Got it. I'm going to unpack it from up here for you.
Yeah.
So leading from purpose this is a really, for me, it's so fundamental. It's when you lead from purpose, it means leading from a place of your genuine values, your genuine opinions, your genuine ideas about things. It's leading from that place as opposed to anyone else's imposed position. So leading from your own purpose means that you share your true beliefs about the subject around which you're leading. And this applies in our life. It's just not just in business, because leadership, as we all know, is really, it translates right through everything we do in our lives. You know, we're leaders at home, we're leaders with our kids, we're leaders with our friends, we're leaders in the way we conduct our lives. But certainly within business, whether you work for a corporate organization or whether you have your own business, you're a leader. And when you lead from your own purpose, it means you're leading from a place of honesty and a place of your standing by, putting your stake in the ground for your own beliefs. And I think really that sits above, leading from purpose sits above any other kind of leadership strategies or leadership theory that is out there, because it's the honest truth of how you lead. It's not you trying to be like another leader you admire. It's leading from your purpose, what you believe in.
Would you say that's similar to leading from your heart?
I think so, yeah.
And
So,
consciously
and
doing it
consciously,
consciously.
I think it's really tied up with doing it consciously. I guess sometimes we call it, don't we, leading with intention. And I think, that's another word that's really important here. But all of those things for me come back to this spine of honesty. Because when we lead from purpose, it's really hard to be dishonest about that. It's very hard to be dishonest when you're truly leading from a place of purpose.
And do you find that clients that come to you also struggle with what that purpose is and what their values are, because their identities and roles are such a big part of who they think they are?
Yeah, a lot of people come to me with what I call borrowed purposes. So so what happens is that they've read lots of books about finding your purpose, or they have there are people that they follow online who talk about their purpose a lot. And so what happens is that sometimes clients come to me with this borrowed idea of what their purpose is, because they haven't quite got the courage, perhaps. I think it's a bit of courage, bit of bravery, but certainly haven't got the clarity around what their own purpose is. And where the honesty part comes in hugely for this as well, because quite often people struggle, particularly when it comes to purpose in business, because for so long they've been told that making money can't be your purpose. That's not an acceptable answer. It has to be, you can choose from these very more giving answers, but you cannot choose making money, you know. And I'm being facetious, but that's how people are made to feel. And I think the
So
truth
you're
is,
saying, so you're saying
so
that, sorry, you're saying, I just want to really clarify this. You're saying that a lot of people's purpose, they put that above money.
not really, no. What
No.
I really mean is that we've been told that purpose has to be around serving others to the
Mhm.
exclusion of making money. Making money must not be a factor. And
Aha.
I try to coach my clients around making a stand for the and, we call it, because making money can absolutely be part of your purpose. But the truth is, no one just has making money as their purpose. Because if they did, I'd be getting into like selling cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, because it would be a damn sight easier to make money that way. So, but there is this element of honesty that's allowed to come in, because once people say, this is why people struggle to nail their purpose, it's because actually for a lot of people starting out, for example, in business, is that they say, well, at the moment I am starting this business because I need to pay my bills.
Mhm.
And they're almost made to feel guilty for needing to earn money from what they do.
It's almost
And I
like
just want people
creating
to
it.
embrace both.
It's like making money dirty.
Yes,
And
it's
that you see
ultimately,
that a lot with coaches and healers and service-based businesses,
yes.
especially energy work, because there's this whole thing about, well, I have an ability, which we all have. It's not, we all have abilities, and we all have healing energetic
Mm-hmm,
abilities.
mm-hmm.
um, but a lot of people that I know, a lot of healers I know, feel that they shouldn't be earning money even, let
Mm,
alone making it part of an important part, and because they see it as a gift, and they're
yes,
not looking at their personal value.
absolutely. And I always think, it's so round the wrong way, isn't it?
Mm.
Because actually, the people who have huge purpose, because I consider that kind of career or business around the healing, the kind of, the deeper work, is delivering huge value to clients. And I think that it's almost it's a missing element if that making money doesn't become part of that purpose. Because when we have a business that is only to serve and isn't in any way to make money, it becomes an unsustainable business. So
Yes, I just want to
I
add to that as well, Gill, about money mindset, and I'm sure you do a lot of work on money mindset.
mm, mm,
If you have that kind of mindset, there is an element that when you lead from your heart, or when you lead from your purpose, then things will flow. But if you have that money mindset, then the financial element will not flow. So I can
that's
see,
right.
so I want to take you back to that and that you were talking
Yeah,
about, the and, because
it's
then that
and
links the two, doesn't it?
it does, it absolutely does. And that that is often a missing piece, and it's a blocker for people, because actually once you give people that permission to include the and make money, they then become much more expansive when they actually examine what their true purpose really is, because it becomes a block for people if they're not allowed to include the money part. That's all they can think about. And when I
Mm.
say not allowed, I mean that they've kind of got this belief that they shouldn't mention the money part. Oh no, I'm not doing it for the money. Once you can get someone to kind of overcome that and make that stand for the and, they're much better at talking about their true purpose. It's
Mm.
really amazing. It really makes such a difference for people.
Yeah, I can feel that. And I remember being in that situation where
Mm,
um I just the money aspect was kind of hidden under the carpet,
that's it.
and
Yeah.
I didn't want to
Oh
look at
yeah.
it. It's like, oh no, that's, if I keep doing this, if I lead from service, and yes, there is elements where that works, but you have to have the matching alignment with the money mindset. And I was hiding it under the rug. And then I got honest with myself, and I'm like, yes, I love what I do. I love helping other women. I love empowering women and making a difference and helping them transform their lives.
Hmm.
But I also love making money. I also love my freedom, and my financial freedom is huge. And I want to know I've got a
Yes.
cushy retirement at the end of it. Um,
Absolutely.
and
And
the
it's
energy,
okay. All of those
yes.
things are okay. And those things together are what I wish for all my clients. I want them to
Mm,
have and in buckets,
I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that. So, and a lot of people struggle. So I think this leads on to a bit more about radical authenticity
Mm,
and getting mixed up with well, it's about radical authenticity, about being really honest with your values and lining up with those values. And I love what you said as from the behind the scenes, where you see people that are very, very different behind the scenes than they are in front of a
mm,
camera or with their
mm.
clients or on stage. And yes, there is an element of showmanship, but there is that their alignment is, it's so key, isn't it, to be,
Oh, it really is.
because you just, so what are the things that stop people from being being radically authentic?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this is an interesting one, isn't it? Because it's fear. It's always
Oh.
fear. And it's fear of a few things. Fear of judgment is a big one. So we tend to project onto other people some negative stuff they might think of us if we reveal our true selves in all its glory. I think it's fear of disappointing people. So I
Mm.
think, we get scared of saying something that, you know, oh gosh, that I shouldn't have said that. I wish I hadn't said that. If my mum hears about that, oh no. So I think that's part of it. I think it's fear, it's always imposter syndrome.
Mm.
So, we try and be like someone who we admire, or we try and emulate someone who is perhaps a little further along on their entrepreneurial journey. If we're a business owner, we try and emulate them because we look at their success and think, okay, so to have that success, I need to be like them. And we sort of try and take on this new persona that copies the way they are. It's lots of things, I
Mm.
think. I can share with you a story from when I started my business, which was because I haven't always found this easy. So a lot of clients will say to me, but Jill, you're so confident, or you find it easy to just be yourself, and you're not embarrassed. I had not always been like that. When I first started my business, I was so embarrassed of the people who knew me thinking, what the hell is she up to? Like, who's she to call herself a business manager or a business coach? So I blocked everyone that I knew from social media. I blocked all of my friends and family.
I know exactly what you mean though. I totally resonate with that, Jill.
I
I
was so
really relate
embarrassed.
to it.
Mm,
Yeah.
because one minute I'm working in insurance and the next minute I'm apparently some expert in business. Who am I to do that? So and of course it was complete projection, because the people that I was working with, I was getting great results for. They
Hmm.
could see that I was genuinely, good at what I did. They didn't have any problem with paying me to make a difference in their business. So why I thought my friends and family, well, I'm not sure what I thought they would do if they saw my social media content. I don't know if I thought they were going to put a comment on there saying, Jill, come on now, wind your neck in. You don't know anything about this. But I
Yes.
was
Yeah.
embarrassed, and I didn't want them to see me being this what felt to me at the time like a new person.
Yes. Yes, because it is a
So
transition, isn't it?
it is a transition. It really is a transition. But I think the key is the
So how
sooner.
did you overcome that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Good.
I know
That's a
I
good
know
question.
yeah, because I was the same with, it's like, what will my parents think? What will my brothers think? Because I was teased
Yeah.
all my life. A lot of people think I'm was born with confidence.
Yep.
But I also had a huge amount of lack of confidence, self-worth, and low self-esteem issues, which
Mm,
played out in all sorts of interesting behaviors, shall we say.
mm,
Um,
mm.
but yeah, I remember doing the same, thinking I'm not going to post on my personal page because I don't want friends and family. And I know we're
Yeah.
not the only ones.
Oh, I know
Oh,
we're not
oh, actually, I'm going to block that
too.
person because they're quite judgmental. I'm going to block them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would love to know. I mean, I don't give a what's it now.
Right.
But how
Absolutely.
what did you do to overcome that?
It was a journey. First of all, it didn't happen overnight. But there was something very pivotal that when I got my head around it, it made all the difference in the world to me. And it's something that I now absolutely incorporate in my mindset coaching part of the work that I do. And that is around choosing ourselves for success. And when we do that, what I mean is choosing the whole of us for success. I think at the beginning, I had this mindset of, well, I really want to have my own business. I really want to be wealthy. So I'm going to I'll give it a go. I'll see what I can do. I'll see what I can copy perhaps from what other people are doing. I'll see how if I can cobble together some kind of business. And I'm going to be honest, when I think back now, I don't really know how this insight dropped. So I'm sorry if it came from someone that I followed online and it resonated with me, but if it did, I've forgotten who it was. But I had this real insight at some point that what am I doing here? Why am I'm a smart woman. Why am I kind of trying to create a business that's a pale imitation of someone else's? And I think it was that moment that I chose myself, and I chose everything about myself. I chose the way I look, because one thing for me that was really hard originally was making any kind of video content because of being overweight. So I would like straight away think, oh my God, absolutely not. No chance. I'll just have to like, one thing I used to say all the time was, oh no, well, you see, I love writing or I love speaking, so I don't need to do video. And of course it wasn't that. And those things are true, but that wasn't really why I didn't want to do the video. But in this whole process of choosing myself, it was really a feeling of, I can do this as me. And actually, I think I'll do a better job as me than I will, like I say, creating a pale imitation of someone else's business. And if I'm going to choose myself for success, then I'm going to trust myself to make smart decisions. And from that moment, it got easier and easier and easier to be what I now refer to as radically authentic. Which I know we'll go on to what I mean by that. But I guess, yeah, in answer to the question of how did I overcome it, it was a journey. It was wanting to overcome it. That's something that I would say, that I think you have to have an awareness that you're not living authentically or not showing up authentically to want to change it, and to have the confidence to not care who sees it.
And making that way more important, making your success, your happiness, your fulfillment of life way more important than anything else.
Yeah,
Isn't it? It's so that then the fear diminishes, because you're not focusing on the
absolutely.
fear, you're focusing on what you want to create, what you want to achieve, and the impact of that on your life, and then your client's life, your family, ripple effect, on and on and on.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
so right, actually. I'm glad you said that, because you're so right. It is wanting to create the business I knew was inside me became bigger than the embarrassment that was holding me back. Like that purpose. So again, it comes back to the purpose or for me of actually empowering women to create really this full fat version of the business they really want became more important to me than the fear of judgment from the people who knew me. They became less important, or their opinions certainly became less important.
Yeah.
And
I
then
love
it
that.
is, if you're
Can
like
I
me,
just, I love that.
sorry, go on.
What you just said about the full fat version of
Mm.
themselves.
Mm.
That
Yeah,
is
full fat
really,
version of themselves. I often say to people, one of the I think it's on my website actually, is I help women build the full fat version of the business they really want rather than the light version they've been beavering away at, you know, that light LITE version. And
yes.
I think that's what we do. We often, particularly when we start a business, so me being a virtual assistant was really a light version of what I really wanted to do. It was the version I thought was available to me
At the
so
time.
at the time. It was the version I thought was doable, available, you know. And I suppose
It was like,
part of what I do and part of what harnessing that radical authenticity does is it takes off any kind of limits, because when you're radically authentic, you have no competition, none. No one else can do what I do.
because you're completely, utterly you.
Right.
And you're
Right.
not, as you said, a paler version of somebody else, because
Right.
that's the key word there, isn't it? Pale. So radically
Yes.
authenticity
Mm-hmm.
is, if you could, how would you sum that up? Radical authenticity. So we can be authentic.
Yeah.
Some
I
of,
think
but I think
interestingly, I
I,
always say that, sorry, go ahead.
I think, sorry, I think that people also struggle with what that means. What is
Yeah.
authenticity? What is true authenticity? And what is, the radical sounds like it's like the super version of authenticity.
Yes, I like it. It's like authenticity on steroids.
Yes. So
I
can you
like that.
describe what you mean by that? Because some people do struggle with what being authentic is. We hear it all the
We
time. It's like a
do.
buzzword, but it's
Yeah.
much, much more than when you do it, it's not a
It is
buzzword.
overused. It is a
Yeah.
buzzword, but it's too important to cast aside because it's a buzzword.
Mm.
And I think what this might illustrate it, what I mean by radical authenticity. Radical authenticity is what you get to when you stop trying to be authentic. So I know that's a bit
Unpack
of a
that, Gill.
what. I'm going to unpack that one now, Jen.
Yes, please do.
This is a full unpacking sesh. So what I mean by that is, I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to
Yes.
give you another example.
Yes,
So
do.
I used to tell everyone and anyone that I loved yoga. Anyone and everyone listening, oh yeah, I love yoga. But why? Because I wanted to be someone who loved yoga. And I wanted to be someone who loved yoga, ate organic food, and practiced meditation at least 23 times a day. Unfortunately, there was a slight
3.
spanner in the works. There was a slight spanner in the works. And that is that I literally hate freaking yoga. I hate it. But I was desperate to be that. But in my head, that was this like, this kind of earth mother person was who I really wanted to be, because I was so interested in other people like that, and I really wanted to be like them, and it really appealed to me to be like that. So, I mean, honestly, I have yoga pants, a yoga mat, and 2 yoga bricks. I
And
don't think
how
I've ever done a full yoga session in my entire adult life.
and yet you love yoga
And yet I would tell people I love yoga. I
because you were
hate yoga. I hate yoga. I'm telling you now, I hate yoga. But the thing is, I was trying to be the person who loves yoga.
oh, you're making me cry.
I know. I'm sorry. I have that
But
effect.
because you thought by loving yoga, that
Yeah,
made you this type of person, this
correct.
spiritual
Yes. And I so wanted to be that person. And of course, there are elements in me. I do love to meditate.
Yeah.
I do. When the time is right. I don't do it 23 times a day. That's ridiculous. Went
That's a
over the top. Went over the top with my example there.
random number.
Just random. 23 times a day. Yeah. I take 1 hour off for sleep. but, but the point is, it was all about me. There was nothing authentic about that. There was nothing authentic about that. And I'm not for one moment saying that people who are trying to be authentic are like that. That's clearly the one end of the spectrum. Then I think we have this part of us where we are trying so hard to be authentic. And what happens then is that we almost filter everything we say or do for fear of being unauthentic or inauthentic. Is it unauthentic or inauthentic? I should really know that. I talk about it so much, so I probably say it wrong 50% of the time.
That's a good point, actually, because I couldn't tell you. Yeah. And that's very interesting.
Anyone listening, do feel free to
correct us. Yes. Write in with, is it inauthentic or
exactly.
unauthentic? I think it's unauthentic.
Oh yeah, that feels good. So we're desperately trying not to be unauthentic, because we hear it all the time. Like you said, it's a buzzword. We all know the goal is to be authentic in our work, in our life, particularly if we are building a business, because everyone has told us a million times, you need to come from a place of authenticity. So we're trying very hard to be authentic. And then we get into this trap of filtering ourselves to make sure we're being authentic. So then what happens is that actually putting anything out into the world becomes so freaking scary for fear that it isn't the true us, that we paralyze ourselves. And what ends up coming out is some kind of hygienic, cleansed version of what we probably really wanted to say, because we were really busy making sure, is this my authentic opinion? Yes, this is my authentic opinion. Okay, how can I get it across so that it sounds authentic? Because and it's, I mean, it is kind of ironic, isn't it? We get wrapped up in trying to be authentic, and which also is almost an oxymoron.
Yeah, you're not allowing yourself to just be.
That's right.
And for it to flow naturally, you're filtering everything. That reminds me, I remember when I was in my late teenage, early 20s, if I had a new boyfriend, I would filter everything I said because I wanted them to really, really like me.
Yes.
So the conversation would become really staid and awkward, or there'll be these really long silences.
Yeah.
But uncomfortable silences.
Because you couldn't actually fill them with real thoughts in case they didn't fit. Yeah. Oh my God, I totally get it.
Yeah.
I totally get it. When I when I first met an ex-boyfriend as well, and he lived away from me, so he used to come sometimes at the weekends really early in the morning, and arrive at my house really early in the morning and wake me up. Well, I used to set an alarm for an hour before he was due to arrive, get up, put on the most natural looking makeup, which was basically foundation, powder and mascara, brush my hair, and then literally lay like a statue on the pillow until he arrived, so I could, and then just pretend I was waking up. True story. Who does that?
I don't know, I've seen it in a movie though.
Yeah, Bridesmaids.
Oh,
exactly
yes,
like that.
Yes,
honestly, exactly like that. Oh no, that was another one. Oh, no,
not Bridesmaids. I'm thinking Runaway Bride.
Yeah, that's with the eggs. That's another one that's a really good analogy for authenticity. So many of us don't know what our actual true opinion on something is, which is another reason why trying to be authentic becomes really challenging, because actually we've never really done the work to work out what our true opinions are. We've consumed so much content and ideas and formulas and blueprints from other people that our way of doing something is a bit cloudy.
Sorry, and not forget, I'm talking over you, I do apologize,
That's
because I'm
okay.
so excited.
Yes.
And not forgetting cultural and societal
Oh,
um,
absolutely.
opinions of how we think
Yeah.
we should behave and what we think we should be saying. I mean, that does play a massive part in us being unauthentic. So
That's right.
why is it so important to be radically authentic? What do you see the benefits? Why is it so important to us?
That's a great question. The benefits of it are that everything in your life and your business becomes so much simpler. If you, oh, and I just wish sometimes, I really wish I could just literally inject into everyone's heads some kind of magic potion that gives them the experience of harnessing this radical authenticity and allowing themselves to just be who they really truly are for a day, because they never go back, because it's so liberating. Everything becomes simpler. You don't have to second guess yourself. You don't have to prepare for hours on end if you're going to go live on video or whatever, because you really are just sharing your true thoughts and opinions on things. So that's one thing. Everything becomes simpler. The second benefit is, and I alluded to it earlier, which is about how, particularly for business owners, if you are completely and utterly authentic, then you have no competition. You have competition when you put yourself into a pool with sound the sames, with look the sames, with
Looky likeys.
looky likeys. Well, I was going to say no lighty, no likey. That's something completely different. That's that dating show. No, not that. But yeah, looky likeys, sounder likeys, all of those. When you put yourself into one of those pools, those are all your competition. A client coming along has to think, well, okay, they're all the same, so I'll go with the cheapest one.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's when price is all you have to kind of negotiate on with the client.
And it's stressful trying to be like somebody else. It's
So
like creates
stressful. It's
such hard work.
exhausting.
Yeah.
It's exhausting trying to be like someone else, because I think it's like that trying word is the point, isn't it? Trying to do anything is exhausting. Letting
Yes.
it be easy, letting it be light, letting it be simple is refreshingly simple. I mean, it's natural.
Yes. And don't you
You're not
find,
trying.
and when you're authentically, radically yourself, the sort of people you then attract
Oh,
are
absolutely. They're the
ideal.
right people.
Yeah. Beautiful friends and connections.
Beautiful friends and connections, clients you absolutely adore working with. Opportunities show themselves like never ever before. And I really can speak up for this, because when I was really starting out and trying to copy how other people did business, I love air quotes on a podcast, don't you? Did business. For anyone listening, I just did air quotes. Okay, now you're caught up. But copying how other people do business, that's what I was wrapped up in, and opportunities never seemed to come along like they did for other people then. And some of that is time passing, some of that is more experience, some of that is working with more clients, but what I find now is that opportunities are always showing themselves because I dare to have those conversations. So when I was not being authentically myself, so my authentic self is someone who's curious, who probably says inappropriate things sometimes, who probably asks inappropriate questions sometimes, but does it from a real place of love and wanting to just understand someone better. And that's my style. So now opportunities like this wonderful conversation we're having right now present themselves. Whereas when you're yeah, when you're this light version of yourself, when you're this looky likey, I guess those opportunities don't come up, or you don't seek them.
Or they're harder, you actually have to work for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I
And
100% agree.
everything's
Yeah,
easier.
yeah. I like you, I see that, although I see that when someone steps into their authenticity. I'm doing air quotes now as well, listeners. Authenticity.
Love it. Ah,
Um, the everything, it just shifts. It
everything
it
shifts
is that, I love what you said earlier, that liberation, feeling completely and utterly liberated. So that I
completely.
can totally see why you work with freedom seekers.
Yeah.
And why we
Yeah.
attracted each other in this, because I'm a
Definitely.
total freedom seeker.
You
So
are, absolutely. I think we have loads in common in that realm.
yes,
So I think it
yeah,
was, and that's such a good example, isn't it? That's a
mm,
natural connection, and um it's natural and joyful for us to talk to each other
yes,
because
and
it's so
it,
authentic.
yes, and actually, just talking about ease, I didn't go looking for Jill. Jill didn't come looking for me.
No.
We were introduced by a by my co-host,
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
knows us both,
The lovely Claire.
the lovely Claire. And talking of the lovely Claire, there was no work or effort involved in that either. I just, a post popped up on LinkedIn that really, I just loved her energy and resonated. And I just sent her a message. Hey, that was awesome. And hey ho, presto, we're up to 52 episodes in a podcast.
I mean, isn't that, if ever there was an example for anyone listening who has social media angst or any other kind of marketing angst, isn't that a perfect example of relationships
Mm.
over algorithms any day? I
Uh,
mean, just one post, it resonated with you, you reached out, formed a connection,
she was
and
Claire,
look at you now.
yeah, and Claire was being her authentic self in this video.
Oh yeah, Claire is
Uh,
always her authentic self.
yeah, and I was really authentic in the message I sent her.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's just, yeah, let's have a conversation.
But imagine if that, just taking the other extreme of that,
Mm.
would be you perhaps looking at that post and then feeling almost like, oh, perhaps scrolling on past it and then getting frustrated with content creation and then thinking, well, that post was really good. I mean, I didn't do anything about it, but I need to create something like that. Next thing you know, you're trying to copy what someone else is doing, you're trying to, and it's completely missed the mark,
Mm.
because the gold there was that Claire did something really authentic, put it out there, you authentically responded, and that's as complicated as it had to get.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And yeah,
Amazing.
absolutely.
Mm,
Yes. So
mm.
listen, people, listen
Listen
and
in, peeps.
listen, because it works. It really, and so it, as we said, it takes a lot of courage for people to be
Mm,
truly authentic and who they really are. And I want to
yeah,
ask you in a moment, what does who you truly are, or who you truly are, what does that mean? But before I get to that, it takes, it does take courage and bravery to step into that, and that's all
mm,
around, that all of leadership has courage related to it. So
absolutely.
how do you cultivate that courage,
Yeah,
Bill?
yeah.
What can people do, what can our listeners do to help cultivate the courage to be who they truly are, to be their authentic self?
That's a really good question too. And I think it starts um, by understanding that courage is a bit like a muscle. You have to exercise it for it to grow. So small acts of bravery, repeated consistently, are what build the muscle of courage.
Can you give an example?
Absolutely. So it might be that your feeling of not being good enough is something that's holding you back. Fear that, well, if I put something out there that's what I really think about it, what if people laugh at my opinion? What if people think that's a stupid opinion? What if people who know more about this subject than I do comment on it, God forbid, and say to me, yes, Jill, but I think what you've forgotten here is blah, blah, blah. Those are all like genuine fears people have around imposter syndrome, is that they think that someone's going to make them look stupid or be angry with them. That's really, if you pare everything else away, that's what imposter syndrome comes down to. So one way that you could make a start at a small act of bravery to counter that is to do it in a really safe space. And this isn't necessarily with friends and family, but it can definitely be in a space where you're with people you trust, with people whose opinions are valuable to you. Not necessarily, no one else's opinion of you is necessary, but sometimes people's opinions are of interest and value to you. Sometimes just having a circle of people like that in your life, that you can start practicing giving your honest opinion about something and letting go of the outcome of that. Because that's the other part of giving your honest opinion about something, is that you have to let go of what the outcome of that honesty might be, because you can't control that. You can't control if someone likes your opinion, doesn't like your opinion, thinks your opinion is stupid, doesn't believe you. All of those things you cannot control. The only bit you can control is you putting out the honest opinion that you know to be what you truly believe. That would be my first tip. It would be to practice doing that in what feels like a safe space, and then go from there and start, and also understanding that doing things that are brave, doing things that take courage, it's okay for that to feel uncomfortable. It's really okay. It's okay to get comfortable feeling uncomfortable. Nothing dire is going to happen if you feel a little bit uncomfortable for a while.
And in fact, growth when you first start to grow and evolve, it is very uncomfortable.
Absolutely,
because your mind is trying to keep you safe and going, hang on a minute, I don't know what that's all about. That's all a bit unknown. That's a bit scary. I don't know if I want to step into that because I don't know what's going to happen. So and our mind and our ego get involved, and we go into that fight or flight response, don't we? Where we either freeze.
Absolutely.
And that's a really, really valid point about allowing yourself to be okay with being uncomfortable. Because you're not going to die.
And leaning into that liberation as well, leaning into it and saying and thinking to yourself, if I'm courageous enough to start putting out genuine opinions, genuine content, if you're a content creator, genuine conversation, if you're a relationship builder, really leaning into the freedom and the liberation and the ease with which you will be able to do that once you start speaking your absolute, unadulterated, unfiltered truth.
Yes. And the discomfort becomes very, very minimal, doesn't it?
It really does.
It flips. You forget it. You forget it very
flips.
Yes.
It flips, and it actually becomes really uncomfortable to do something that isn't radically authentically you. That's where I am now, is that if I start trying to do something, or I find this with my writing a lot. If I write something and when I get to the end of it, realize that I've written it as someone who is a very, very skilled writer, it's probably rubbish, and I probably need to start again, because it will mean I focused on that skill rather than on saying what I actually mean. And I can tell when I do, and I still do it all the time, and that makes me really uncomfortable. Now, putting out the stuff that is genuinely what I think and feel is very easy and doesn't take any courage or any kind of or takes a lot less courage and doesn't make me feel uncomfortable. And now putting out something which I wouldn't do, but I do spot it and stop myself putting it out. But yeah, writing something that sounds kind of like not me or disingenuous is something that I just can't do now. It just feels
You,
so yuck.
you literally feel it in your body.
Totally
Yeah,
feel it in my
yeah,
body.
yeah.
Yeah,
Your body's a really
absolutely.
good um compass. It's a really
As
good
we're talking about
guide.
it, I can feel it in my stomach right
Going,
now.
"What?" Yeah,
Isn't that funny?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But what I wanted to say for people that are concerned about taking the courage and it being uncomfortable, that
Mm,
that discomfort is very, very minimal, and it
mm,
passes super quick.
mm.
As you said, Jill, you start practicing, you practice that muscle. It's like
That's
when we
right.
first started doing the podcast, I was like, oh God, I'm going to do a podcast. Whoa.
Yeah, exactly.
And then after
Exactly.
two, it's like, yeah, I got this. I mean, I make
Yeah.
mistakes and that's okay. I'm comfortable with making mistakes and not being perfect. I mean, one of our hashtags is hashtag not perfect.
Oh,
But
great. I
it's,
love that.
but
No one wants polished anymore anyway. It's so boring.
yeah, but it's so much fun. And so just taking those little steps out of your comfort zone,
Yeah,
it's just, I can't even describe how worth it is, because that's where you're going to
absolutely right.
thrive and flourish and reach your exponential potential.
Yes, exactly right. And for anyone listening, surround yourself with people like that. Surround yourself with the Jens and the Claires of the world, because
And the
you know
Jills.
that, and the thank you very much, and the Jill. But if you surround yourself with those sort of people, it will rub off and it will get easier and easier and easier, for sure.
Yes. And it's fun and it's, yeah, but you're not alone. You're so not alone.
Yeah.
So final question, and I think a lot of people get confused about what this means, who you truly are. And I
Mm.
use it as well,
Mm.
you know, to be really connected or tuned into, tapped into who you
Mm.
truly are. So what
Who
does that
you
mean for you,
truly
Jill?
are. I think for me, it's the difference between who you want to be and who you truly are. So when you think about it like that, who you want to be is something aspirational. It's you tend to take the good bits of who you truly are and then pair them up with the bits that aren't who you truly are, but you really want to be, have them. That's who you want to be. Who you truly are is accepting all of the parts of you. So it's accepting the parts that you don't like as much. It's accepting that sometimes you make mistakes. It's accepting that sometimes you say mean things that you can't take back and you wish you could. But it's accepting that all of those parts of you, along with the loving part of you, the kind part of you, the part of you that always wants to do the right thing whenever she can or he can, I think it's accepting who you truly are is accepting all of those facets of your personality and being a lot more forgiving of yourself for the things that aren't the way that you would perhaps like them to be, and also leaning into the parts of you that really are good and that you play down so that you don't make other people uncomfortable. So these are the things that we try to do when we are not being authentic, is that depending on who we're with, we will be overly humble about the things we're good at,
Mhm.
and we'll dumb ourselves down because we don't want to make other people feel bad about themselves, or we don't want to, being authentic is actually being proud of the good parts of you and the good work that you do. And therefore, when you're proud of it, you want to tell others about it. That's one of the reasons why people find it so hard to sell what they do. It's because one of the things that's ingrained in us is not to be boastful and not to talk about the things that we're good at. So
And
and then the other side of that, of being who you truly are, like I say, is accepting all of the parts of you that aren't the way you wish they were, but they are who you truly are. And it's about accepting those, being more forgiving of yourself, and understanding that the whole of you, bringing the whole of you to the table is really so refreshing for people, that they will be more forgiving of any of the not so great parts of you too. It's only when we try to be someone we're not, because of course we can't actually go against our nature. We can't actually, you don't, there's no part of who you truly are that you can make up. It is just who you truly are. And it's accepting that. It's accepting that, and knowing that if you are authentic in putting that who you truly are into the world, other people will accept that too.
And do you think, though, that sometimes we're molded into something we're not because of experiences that we've had, whether that be, bullying, other traumatic experiences, or just the way we've been brought up in a,
Yeah.
in a family or in a society or a
Mm.
culture? Do you think that that's wrapped up in that as well, that we think that we need, we should be this way?
Yeah. And sometimes it's really hard to get to the bottom of who we truly are, because of all of those layers of other people's stories that have been put upon us. The stories we grew up with, the stories that bad experience have layered upon us. Sometimes it is really hard to get underneath that, and that's why people, like you and I are around doing what we do, because I think that's something we have in common, is being really passionate about helping people find who they truly are.
Mhm,
You more so than me, but certainly, yeah, to a certain extent, me too, in business, certainly.
mhm.
um and I think it's just the most important work ever.
Yeah, I agree. Because we those other people's stories become our own stories.
Yeah, they do.
And a lot of those stories are so subconscious and so hidden. It's
That's
hard
right.
to, like you say, the layers. We are all like onions,
We
and
are.
peeling back the layers, but not peeling back the layers in terms of therapy, where it can be really painful, but more opening your heart up
Yeah.
to be who you are, and to focus on that energy, and to, yes, look at where those beliefs came from, but to be able to transform those beliefs in as light environment as possible, and allow some feelings to be, allow feelings to come up, to be released, so you
Mm.
can step into that person of who you truly are. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Is there anything that you would like to share with the listeners? I believe that you have, we're going to put your links in the podcast description, so please do
Yes.
take a look at those. And
Yes, definitely. I have
there
a
is a
freebie
there is
that
a
they might
gift you
like, a little
have. Yes.
gift for them.
Yes, tell us
Yeah.
about your gift.
So I've created a little bundle,
Ooh,
actually, for
I
your
like a bundle.
listeners. Yes. And it's a vision and goal setting bundle. And it's really for business owners who need some clarity around the vision they have for their business, the goals they want to set for themselves within that business, and really positioning that business in the market. And it has
Ooh,
3 workbooks, and I think 5 days of email support as well. So
5 days of email support. That
yeah, that
it
comes with the emails. Yeah,
that
with the
is
workbooks as well.
awesome. So for
Mm,
anyone that's feeling a bit stuck, wants to redefine their vision, get some clarity,
that's it.
and set some goals, then click on that link in the description. Um, that sounds awesome. I love it. I love a bundle.
Love a bundle.
Bundle.
I love a
Love a
bundle.
bundle.
Shall I
And
tell
is
you
there?
why it's a bundle? Shall I tell you why it's a bundle?
Yes.
This is the
Why
honest
is it a
truth.
bundle?
Because I was trying to create this workbook and it was never bloody ending. I was thinking no one's going to fill that out. So I turned it into 3 workbooks and called it a bundle, which it is now.
Brilliant. See,
There
that's
we
the
go.
sort of advice that you can get. That's the sort of suggestions that you can get when you work with Gill.
Isn't it?
It's
Yeah,
so
exactly.
simple, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
like, oh my God,
Suddenly it's like,
this
oh,
workbook's huge. Oh, let's just cut it in
make it a
3 and
bundle.
it's a bundle.
Who doesn't love a bundle? I love a
Well,
bundle.
it makes it easier, isn't it? It's bite size, those micro steps, those steps towards bigger goals and your aspirations and
Exactly.
dreams. So
Mm-hmm.
anything else you'd like to add, Jill, before we go? I've had such a good time, and I hope the listeners have got a lot from this. I know they will have. But is there
Oh,
any
I hope
juicy
so.
gems or
Yeah,
anything else you want to
absolutely.
end on?
Well, I suppose I just would love to end on really asking everyone listening to do this work in whatever that means to you, whatever it means to you, but just start thinking about it. How am I showing up? Am I showing up as someone trying to be authentic, or am I showing up authentically? If you can really master that and take off the filter, start really showing up as who you truly are, everything will change for you. I'm so passionate about it because it happened to me, and I know what happens when you do it, and it's amazing.
Thank you, Jill. I've really
Thank
thoroughly
you.
enjoyed this conversation.
Me too. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you. And thank you, listeners, for listening. You know what to do. Please like, subscribe, and share. It really does help us to continue bringing you amazing content and guests. Until next time, have a great day wherever you are in the world. Bye.